Our corporate action platform is helping the nation's largest employers develop and employ more equitable talent practices, which leads me to our next session with the Vice Chair of the JFF Board of Directors, Shana DeSmit, who is a VP at Sam's Club, and Donna Morris, EVP and Chief People Officer at Walmart. After Donna and Shana's conversation, we'll take a look at the Future of Work Grand Challenge, JFF's Recover Stronger initiative, and the efforts of some very impressive youth entrepreneurs. These are just a few of JFF Lab's partnerships. After that, we'll learn about the new National Coalition to Support Black Talent 110. But first, let's hear what Walmart is doing to support its associates.
Thank you so much for kicking it over to us. We're excited to be here today together, actually, in person and not on a Zoom, but the chance to just share a bit of a casual conversation and a chance, Donna, to get to know you a bit better.
So, thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Donna, if you don't mind, if we'd start out, just tell us a little about yourself and the role that you have today.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really fortunate to be here at Walmart. I'm what we call the Chief People Officer. And my role really is focused on providing an environment that allows us to attract, engage, develop, and retain the best associates. And we're fortunate to have close to 2.2 million of those associates across the markets in which we serve. And so really that's the role. It's a very people-focused role that is aligned to enable the business to be successful, because at the end of the day, people truly are our greatest assets here.
Absolutely. And I think it's something special to get a chance to sit down with you, having had a chance to grow up in the organization, spending over 29 years, truly getting to live that out. I think it is still as relevant today as it was when Mr. Sam founded us. And I think of you as a leader coming into this great big role in the middle of the pandemic, or actually at the start of the pandemic. If you wouldn't mind, would you share a bit about what you've learned, both personally and professionally, through the past year?
I think this year has been one of considerable growth and learning for all of us, right? I don't think any of us imagined at the start of the pandemic that we would be 16 months until we could physically sit down with each other. So I started here at Walmart on February 17th. And 3 weeks later, we found ourselves, for those that worked in what we call campus offices, going virtual. And then clearly our front line serving our communities and our country and the markets that we serve like never before. What I've learned about myself, a few things. One, first and foremost, that I really resonate with engaging people relationships. And I found myself surprised that you can actually do it quite effectively virtually. I didn't expect that. Sometimes it's more taxing, frankly, to be virtually than physically, because there didn't seem to be any end in sight. But that was one. I'd say second, and this isn't in order, but I feel like the role that I'm in today is truly my dream opportunity. And I felt compelled to come here to Walmart by virtue of our people, the values, the purpose, and that we were going through digital transformation. The last 16 months have reinforced all of those aspects. We've done so much to support the well-being of our associates and put them front and center. We've delivered to our customers and our communities because of digital. And I'm excited for what happens in the next, not just 16 months, but many months and years ahead by virtue of it. I've also realized that as an individual, I feed off of learning and growth. And there's so much of that here at Walmart that I think collectively we're all learning how to work different and to find new ways of learning and working, which has been really exciting.
As you think about the ways that you personally adapted your learning style, what would you say are some of the key things that you would say defined last year from a learning perspective?
I think one is, going back to the 1, 2, 3, I'd say first, you have to be comfortable with ambiguity. I always realized that dealing with ambiguity was important in leadership roles. But I believe that ambiguity has become something that all people require, just because, frankly, this entire period of time has reinforced that there's a lot of uncertainty. I think resiliency and making sure that you're resilient, you're not necessarily going to find that there's props in the external environment to lift you up. So you have to find that strength yourself to really focus upon. And then reinforcing just all of our responsibilities to look after the well-being of ourselves and others. And that's been really important.
Yeah, I had a firsthand view of watching you challenge us to take care of ourselves, go for a walk, spend that time stepping away from the computer and really focusing on how we were feeling and how we were able to handle ourselves as leaders through the pandemic. And I think you emulated those very beautifully for us. I'm pretty confident that whatever job description they gave you when you came into the organization probably changed a bit over the past year. What would you say, as the Chief People Officer, would be things that would be different in a way that says, these are good things moving forward that I want to make sure we don't ever go backwards on?
That's a great question. While people have always been our greatest asset, I believe that this period has reinforced that if we don't have the focus and the care and the attention on our associates, we don't have a business. Our associates stood up like never before to serve our customers, our members, our communities. And it reinforced that the role of the people organization has to be role modeling and providing opportunities to really support our associates. And so, the last 16 months, last year, we really refined what we view as being our people priorities. And those people priorities just aren't for the people team, they're for the overall organization. We need to make sure that we're supporting our associates to be more digital, because digital is driving our business and will change our business. We need to continue to invest in the growth of our associates. Someone like yourself, 29 years, that's amazing. How do we ensure that we have those same opportunities for individuals in the future in a world that will continue to change and the jobs will continue to change? So supporting the growth of our associates, whether it was through academies, and we pivoted our 200 academies to be all virtual in the last year, and we still delivered 2 million trainings through those academies. I think that reinforced inclusion, providing an environment that's very inclusive, where everyone can have the opportunity for impact and that we're better by the differences. And then once again, reinforcing well-being. So those 4 principles have guided not only what the people organization is focused on, but hopefully what our leaders view as really important in terms of the roles that they play in supporting our associates.
Thank you. I think you're absolutely right in the way that you frame up those 4 pillars and the way we see that all coming together, both from an operations perspective and from a people division. It really is enmeshing to say, this is the path that we're working on. As we've watched our customers and our members transition to omni and digital and the need for fulfillment, pickup, curbside, we've went through a very quick amount of changes in the field and as an organization. What do you think's next for our customers?
I think the interesting thing about customers is, which we all are, exactly. Is that all of us have personalized needs. And I think the future is all around meeting the customer where they want to be met. And so the world will increasingly be just that omni. There'll be some customers that will prefer to be served in store or curbside. There'll be other customers that'll will prefer to actually interact with us only digitally. That'll be the relationship that they have. But in my view, it'll center around personalization, meeting that customer with needs that makes their lives easier. And, when we say our promise, we say we want people to save money and live better. I think the future is underscored by how Walmart enables people to live better. And I think the exciting thing for our business is we're expanding further into health and wellness, financial services, all underscoring that aspect of meeting the customer where they want to be met, not where we want to serve them.
I think you are looking at a world where that deep personalization becomes something that will continue to define us as an organization. How you think about preparing our associates for that future of work?
I think what we need to do is harness our associates with that same capability. And so we just made the announcement that at Walmart US, more than 700,000 associates receive Samsung devices with the Me at Walmart app. And that underscores this whole aspect of providing right in your hands tools and digital technology to unleash their opportunity to serve their customers more effectively and to actually manage their day, because those same devices allow them to access information from a personal viewpoint. So when we view the future, I believe it's one about empowering people to really interact with us, whether they're a customer or whether they're an associate, with the information that they find beneficial to actually personalize their experience.
So I'm going to completely switch gears and just take us back to a year ago. And actually, we just had the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder. And I know it was an impact both personally and as an organization and as a country. What are some of the ways in which you've seen our organization address inequity and racial bias? And how do you see us moving forward?
I'm really proud that as an organization, we immediately responded by ensuring that we started to listen and learn. And I believe that we focused on listening and learning perhaps more than we ever had before, even knowing I don't have that historical context. But that led us to have discussions and open dialogue that are contributing to not only individuals that are part of our Black and African American community, but with the rise of Asian hate, it's allowed us to also listen and learn specific to Asian hate. It's allowing us to ensure that we're supporting our LGBTQ plus community in this month of Pride, but always. And so I believe what we've done as an organization is that we've strengthened our dialogue on understanding that our differences are actually our strength, and that we're a better Walmart when we're more inclusive, and that we represent the communities that we serve. And, specific actions that we've taken, I'm really proud of our shared value networks, education, criminal justice, financial system, and healthcare, and looking at what we can do inside Walmart, but also outside Walmart. We stood up the Racial Equity Center. We're starting to give donations specific to philanthropic efforts that will move the needle on racial equity. We leaned into transparency as opposed to once a year, providing insight to our representation. It's really important for us to do that every 6 months. That holds us accountable. And it actually celebrates the traction that we're making in some of these areas. And then we worked with McKinsey because we felt that it wasn't just Walmart's opportunity for change, but there were other companies and organizations that needed to change too. So we conducted the first ever study on race in America, specific to the Black and African American experience. And we hope that that'll be something that we'll do each year to actually move the needle. So I believe there's been a lot of emphasis on actions, but the true actions come down to how do individuals feel. And I'm encouraged by the fact that we're just even having more dialogue in terms of understanding where people are coming from across our company and across this country.
I think one of the things I love most is that you also empowered all of us, not only to listen, but to use our voice and to learn and to go on that exploration journey of what did we not know or what did we need to forget that we might have once assumed was accurate.
Right.
And I've got to watch 2 of my peers stand up, straight talk, and do all these different things where we just really committed each other to dialogue and not letting it stop. And
That's
then
great.
how we continue to move forward as an organization. I think that there are many things ahead of us as we continue to think about how do we lead in that space and how do we make sure that our efforts and our actions are backed up together.
Totally agree.
So again, we're going to pivot one more time and really start to think about you. I've watched you engage our associates, whether you're in a DC, a chance to be in a Sam's Club, in a Walmart store, at the office, really taking time to do what you just talked about, which is listening. I wanted to ask you, as you think about what words of advice would you give others that want to create positive change for their associates?
Be accessible. I believe that it's really important that we put ourselves out there to meet individuals where they are at. So, in whichever organization someone is, take time to really listen, learn, be accessible. Accessible means you can't hide in your, in a Zoom room or in your office, but be out there talking to people, understanding what their stories are. I believe that there's so much inspiration in the stories of others, and we can learn so much. And you can end up being a connector of the dots, and you end up finding out that there's so much more that we have, once again, in common than we have different, and that the differences actually we can celebrate so that we can learn more. So I would really encourage people to be deliberate about what they're trying to do to make their workplaces better for the people that work there. And I sometimes it's not the big things that we do, but it's the little things that add up. Kath McClay says this at Sam's, but it's true. Many little things that line up can make a huge difference for people. And I think all of us have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you for sharing a bit of your story with Walmart so far. What I would like to do is, if you don't mind, get a chance to have a bit of fun with you. And say, what does it look like to have Donna, the person, really just talk to us, and in a bit of a minute to win it style, ask some one-word questions.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Feel like it's a game show.
It is a game show. Food you couldn't live without.
Oh, food that I couldn't live without. Okay, that's not specific, but I'd say Italian.
Okay.
Like anything Italian.
Good. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Favorite musician or band?
Ooh, Florida Georgia Line.
Ooh. Favorite movie?
I feel like get with the program and do a movie that's more current than what comes top of mind. Like I was going to say, what I was going to be top of mind was going to be like Titanic. And it's like that, like, why am I talking about the Titanic now? I feel like saying pass on that.
Okay. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Neither.
Okay. Tim Hortons or Starbucks?
Oh, that's good. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'd have to go with Tim Hortons because I'm Canadian.
Okay. Daisies or tulips?
Tulips.
A night in or a night out?
Oh, we've been locked up so long. I'm going to go with the night out.
Okay. New York or LA?
New York.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Ooh, nonfiction.
Fastest route or scenic route?
Oh, depends on the day. Probably fastest.
Hike or bike?
Ooh, both good. Hike.
Last but certainly not least, if we were compiling the soundtrack of Donna's life, what 3 songs are must plays?
Oh, wow. That is so good. Actual songs or words to the song or
anything you want.
Either. Be happy, be humble and kind, and just roll with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy and your passion. It clearly comes through that what you do every day matters, and it makes working for our organization a pleasure. So thank you.
Thanks so very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And we'll turn it back over to you.